Hey, in this quick tutorial, let's take a look at how we can take a high-res sculpt and turn it into low poly. So normally when you are modeling, you want to create a clean base mesh and then add more and more details. So then you can go from low to high, and you have the high to be used as baking for low. But let's say you did not do that. Instead, you just created a high-res sculpt, and now you want to create a low poly model. How would you do that? So in this case, I have 1.6 million points. So the first thing I'm going to need to do is separate the head. So I'm going to turn on my polyframe. Let me do auto groups. I can do Control Shift and click to make sure that I isolate the head, go into split, and I'm just going to do split hidden. And that's going to put the head on by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this layer and I'm going to duplicate it. I'm going to go ahead and call one low and the other one high. And I'm going to need both to project the detail from the high to the low one. Let's go ahead and hide high for a minute. Select the low one. Let's go to Z remesher. Here I'll set my target to 2. I'll make sure my active symmetry is not on because this is not a symmetrical character. I'm going to leave adapt on and go ahead and just do Z remesh. All right, that's going to give me something like this. You can see I went from 1.5 million points to only 4,000. I like the topology. Of course, I can take a little more time cleaning this up, but let's say for the sake of this example, this is going to work. Next, let's go ahead and subdivide this to give ourselves more resolution in order to receive the projected detail. So I'm going to press Control D a few times, and I'll get this back up to about 1 million points. All right, now you can see I have a version that has the low poly frame, but at the same time, it has the density of 1 million points, and I can go back and forth selecting what I need. So now what I need to do is I'm going to go all the way to high and project the high detail onto level 5. To do that, I'm going to go into Subtools. I'll go ahead and hide all the other details. Make sure my layer is visible. Now you can see they're kind of overlapping together. I'm going to select my low one, go to Project, and we can play with the distance and the mean. For the sake of this example, I'm going to leave it as is and just do Project All. And I can project a few times until I get the result that I want. Let's go ahead and project. All right, once the projection is done, and once again, you can of course adjust these values to make sure that it actually works well. In this case, it projected and essentially send all the details from the high res over to our lower one. So now if I hide the high, you can see the new one looks like this. There's some issues still that I'm seeing, and maybe I can address those by changing some of these values. So let's go ahead and change the distance, for example, from 0.02 to maybe something like 0.05. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this back on and do another projection. All right, once again, I'm gonna hide the high, and take a look. The low one looks pretty beautiful and all the detail looks fantastic. Now I just projected all of this detail onto the high, and at the same time I have the low one here as well. So now in order for me to bake textures, I can easily export the low poly one with the proper wireframe. Of course, you can tweak this as you need. And then at the same time, you also have the high one, which is really cool. And this one could be used for baking.